The unnecessarily long intro. Welcome to Light Years. We're recording Sunday, 5 p.m. Andy, honestly, for the better, we didn't go live after yesterday's game.
Yes, correct.
I don't even know. Was that the worst loss this season? How many games have we said this is the worst loss this
Dude, we
season?
say that after 20 losses. We say that after 12 of them. It is, I don't know. I thought that was boring. It's just boring. It's a boring loss. It was the most boring loss of the season. I almost fell asleep, Sam. I looked at myself. I looked at Reese, and I was like, "There's so many things I could be doing on a Saturday."
Was that
night,
because you were day drinking and it was like 8 p.m.?
I did have some. I did have too much wine. I gotta stay away from red wine. But look, that was, that was snoring through this first half of the game. So anyway, rough one, but we're here to talk about it. We're here for the fans.
Yeah, we have a special guest this week. The Warriors they're 20-20. After the Suns game, we'll officially be halfway through the season. We're pretty much at the midway mark. So I figured time to bring in the big guns, get some outside perspective on the Warriors and all things NBA from the Ringer, Kevin O'Connor. KOC, how you doing, my man?
I'm doing great today. How are you guys doing besides the terrible, boring loss yesterday?
Pretty good. I mean, football's going well in the Bay Area. Can't complain about that. The Niners look excellent. Finally going to the playoffs.
Might have the best team in the NFC,
There's like a rule. All the teams in the area can't be good at the same time. The minute the Niners get good, the Warriors go down.
Yep.
It's kind of, it ebbs and flows. Maybe if the Niners have like a huge, like disgusting loss in the playoffs, that'll be what turns the Warriors season around. We'll see though.
You think the Patriots, Bruins, and so you get the Bruins are always good. The Red Sox are like the Giants, are up and down. Then you've got the Patriots, who I guess are just terrible, and they're not terrible. I guess they didn't make it, but they're kind of just whatever now, right? They
did fall off right as the Celtics figured it out.
Yeah, they had a blah season and like a mess with an offensive coordinator coming from defense. Belichick's got a lot to figure out this offseason.
Good luck.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get back to the Warriors. 20-20. If you told me that preseason that we'd be halfway into the season, the Warriors would be 500, I'd be like, who got hurt? What happened? All sorts of stuff. They are dealing with injuries. Steph should be back this week, maybe Tuesday, more likely Friday. But that's not why they're 500. They're 500 with Steph. If anything, 5-2 at home without him is like a big win. Disgusting Orlando game aside. And the funniest part of it, they're kind of lucky that the West sucks right now. There's nothing that indicates that, like, if the Warriors get their stuff together, they've dug themselves in too big a hole. I'm pulling up the standings right now just for reference. KOC, I want to start with this with you. Like, what do you make of the West this year? Because this is just confounding. They're mediocre. I don't – give me your perspective on this.
I mean, it's pretty flat right now. I mean, I think there's maybe 6 teams that you can say can make the NBA Finals right now. I mean, just looking at the standings, obviously you have the bad teams, the Thunder, Rockets, Spurs. The Jazz aren't going to win the finals. The Kings are a great story, but they're not a finals contender. The Blazers, whatever. The Suns have really fallen off. Like their issues are even more extreme than the Warriors. Like without Devin Booker out there, they have nobody else who can handle the ball. Chris Paul has fallen off. The Clippers, they're phonies, total embarrassments.
Wow.
With their guys all sitting out. And the Wolves, like, everybody knows all the baggage they have. So, like, who does that leave? That leaves, the Grizzlies, the Nuggets, the Mavs, Pelicans, Lakers, and Warriors. And the Lakers aren't going to win the finals without a trade. The Pelicans, I said before the season that they are a sleeper to win the finals, that they could win the finals, but they're not going to without great health. You can't trust Zion and Ingram.
Sure.
The Mavs, like, they have Luka, they have the guy you need, but do they have the rest of the roster? So, I mean, like, that leaves to me like 3 teams that I think you can say, actually could win the NBA Finals as currently constructed: the Nuggets, the Grizzlies, and the Warriors. And that's despite all the issues Golden State has had so far this season. Like, they've still dominated with their key guys on the floor. And I think that's kind of what I hold on to when I look at Golden State compared to some of these other clearly far more flawed teams, even though the Warriors can and should make a move to bolster and improve their chances at winning the finals over some of those other teams in the West. So never mind a potential East opponent.
They should, but let's play. Let's be negative here. Let's assume they don't. How would you feel about them taking this roster? Maybe they convert Anthony Lamb from a two-way, and he'll probably play in the playoffs if they do. But you got the starting lineup: Jordan Poole, Dante DiVincenzo, Kuminga, and then nothing else you really count on in the rotation. How do you feel about? Do you think they could still get out of the West with that?
I mean, they're going to space out Jokic with 5 out and spread out their defense. I mean, Denver's bottom 10 in the NBA in defense right now during the regular season. That's going to get even more extreme in the postseason. Memphis, that would be one heck of a series if Memphis goes with Jaren Jackson at the 5, or plays bully ball with Steven Adams. I mean, they'd put up a real fight against Golden State, I'd say. But at the end of the day, though, I mean, the Warriors, if they have healthy Steph, Clay, and Draymond, it's hard to pick against that team even without a move. I think ultimately, that's why with Golden State, despite all the issues, you can't sleep with them. But they should make a move, though, because those teams can. Memphis can make a move to further bolster their roster. If the Warriors don't, that doesn't mean that the Grizzlies didn't make a move, that the Nuggets didn't make a move, that the Lakers didn't trade both of their future picks to increase their odds. So I think that's the thing. If the Warriors don't make a move, the question would be who did make a move to further improve their team, because somebody's gonna. And there's some good players out there that are available that can really increase a team's finals odds. So if the Warriors don't make a move, it probably means they're staying the same while other teams are getting better. And so that wouldn't bode well for them. But as presently constructed, those are my feelings.
Who are the players, though?
I mean, I think Bojan Bogdanovic, Eric Gordon, those guys are probably their money's tough to get to for the Warriors. OG Anunoby, if the Raptors decide to pull the plug, which they very well might, even Siakam, perhaps, Kyle Kuzma with Washington. I think those are some of the main guys who come to mind, and none of them are, they're not stars, but those are good quality players who can complement and enhance some star teammates on the floor in the playoffs.
Yeah. So I feel like if the Warriors do make a move, it's highly unlikely they make a roster shattering move, which is just a fancy way of saying they're not going to move Draymond or Wiggins or Clay, any of their big money contracts. So everything kind of comes back to Wiseman because he makes 9 and change, which kind of is enough money to match contracts for you're close enough to Kuzma, you're close enough to Jakob Poeltl, a lot of these players who could really help the Warriors. I'm always curious because you cover the whole league. What can they actually get for something around Wiseman? Because, it is what it is. He missed all of last year.
Yep.
Year 3, we don't, the potential's still there, but no one really knows what he is, right?
Probably not a lot. I mean, anytime you draft a player, their value, it's like you buy a new car, it's off the lot. It loses value immediately. Never mind when he's stunk it up ever since then. So not a lot. And plus he makes good money as well. He's a good money for salary from the Golden State side of things, where you can combine him and Moody or him and Kuminga if you wanted to. And suddenly you're like, ooh, can we get OG Anunoby? But no, you're not getting OG Anunoby with James Wiseman and Jonathan Kuminga. You're having to add 2 first-round future draft picks in order to get a deal like that done, because of how much Wiseman's value has fallen off a cliff. And Kuminga, he's looking like a potential rotation player for Golden State, but it's not like he's, this future superstar acquisition for another team that might land them. So I think that's where, people talk about the 2 timelines and all that with Golden State. It just hasn't worked out. I think it made sense in that sense. You have these younger guys who could become high value pieces to another team for a trade or to yourself for your future. But that just has not happened at all for any of them. But I'd be willing to trade those picks. I mean, I think Steph's playing at a high enough level. Clay getting back. Draymond still can tap into elite defense as well. Wiggins still as well. The team is good enough, has enough talent that I'd be willing to go the other way and sacrifice some of those future picks with a Wiseman, where he becomes the wild card, asset in a trade for another team, rather than just a salary filler, if that makes sense. Do Warriors fans feel similarly about giving up future picks?
It's tricky because they can't trade any picks before 2026. They owe Memphis the 2024 one for the whole Iguodala, D'Lo. We all know that. So
it's like the Lakers thing. The Lakers giving 27 and 29. Everybody's talking about them giving up 2 distant future picks. Like, you never know what the team's going to look like at that time.
I'm seeing the Warriors giving up a pick that far out when it's like we're talking about Steph being 38, 39.
LeBron age.
Yeah, but it's like that's a lot of, like you said, if you don't feel strongly that any of the kids are like the next guy, you could be giving a team that year's Wembanyama, like that sort of thing, right?
Well,
like,
none of the kids are the next guy, that's for sure. I mean, like of what we've seen so far. What about Kuminga? Like none of them.
A few of them look like interesting, but none of them look like they're going to be the franchise guy on a team.
Would you give 2 of them up for OG with Wiseman and Kuminga? Would you give Wiseman, Kuminga a 27 and 29? Were they like a top 2 protected, something like that? Top 1 protected even. OG's young.
I would.
I know.
Like I've also said yes to like Ben Simmons. I mean, like I'm the type of guy that just like, yeah, dude, I love OG because the problem with the Warriors, dude, the Warriors have the worst defense in that league. I mean, if you watch the Warriors, even in the 5-game win streak, that defense is atrocious, and it's gonna be a lot better once you get guys going. But those kids are so young. Even if you're athletic, you don't know how to play defense. And OG's what? Like top 5 defensive player in the NBA, and he's 25. It's not like he's 30.
It's like having 2 Wiggins. You can argue about who's better, but like ultimately you're talking about top tier 2-way wing defenders who can hit shots and do like they're not issues on offense either.
Because the two timelines is the Warriors have 3 actually. Because it's you've got the guys, the 3 guys. Then the second timeline is actually Andrew Wiggins and Looney, and then you can kind of throw Jordan Poole in there. Jordan Poole's in there, right? Is good. And then the third timeline is the scrubs. It's the teenagers that can't play. So it's actually all 3. OG would be in the second one because he could actually. I mean, dude, the Warriors would be.
Yeah, was he 25?
They had him. They'd win the championship. Like they'd walk away with the championship.
Yeah, I mean that's a move that like puts you. Because I've been saying Memphis, to my co-host Chris Vernon on the mismatch. I'm saying you guys should be going hard at OG Anunoby, and he's like, yeah, but I'm not giving up 3 future picks. But I'm like, why not? I mean, like that dramatically increases your odds of winning an NBA Finals.
Isn't it funny? Because like everyone's always like, you want 2-way wings in the playoffs, and then like one presents himself, and we just literally saw what Wiggins was. I was shocked how much more valuable he was in the playoffs than the regular season for him. Like he played excellent for the Warriors all year, but in the back of my mind, I'm always thinking like, I remember the Minnesota guy. I don't know how I feel about him in the playoffs, and the opposite comes true. His skill set is tailor-made for the playoffs, and then he showed up. So when you think about that sort of thing, like, you should be willing to overpay for OG rather than like hold on to a pick to draft another, guard or something like that. But for some reason, it just never computes with people trading that much future upside unless it's for a playmaker, right? Unless it's for like a guy who has the ball in their hands.
Well, and the thing with OG is, I mean, like he's not going to be like the Warriors. They need that other wing, but they could also use one more guy who can attack the basket off the dribble and get penetration. OG's not going to like run your offense. But in the Warriors system, with all their motion and ball movement, he'd be getting to the paint with ease. And so, like, he would add some of that penetration with drive and kick opportunities that the Warriors are lacking. It's just, like, to me, like, if he's available, that's an absolute no-brainer for them or any team for that matter.
Feels like Kuminga turns into OG 3 years from now, though, like easily. It doesn't feel like that. Right. Maybe.
I mean, it is one of those things where like I don't want to give Kuminga's upside, but then if I tell you like the odds of him exceeding the level of wing that like OG and Wiggins are at this stage, like it's not likely. Like those guys are borderline all-stars, and they're definitely like final, like starting 5 on a contender 100%. Player. So it's like, that's a pretty high bar to clear that you're like, everyone just assumes you can just turn a wing into Kawhi. All he needs to do is learn how to shoot. It's like, that's a 1-of-1 thing, like it's not that easy. So as fun as that one is to talk about, like, I can't see the Warriors giving up that much. Like call it, pragmatic or like risk averse. They're not going to. So here's the way I look at them. It's you got your core guys. You got Jordan Poole, who's number 6 in the rotation. Dante has turned into kind of the perfect kind of Warriors kind of glue piece. So that's 7. Kuminga has actually been really good as a defensive wing for them. Maybe he plays a little less in the playoffs because he's young and he can't really shoot consistently. But the obvious hole is they have no one in the front court outside of Draymond and Looney. And I really think that's who's like, think lower tier than OG, someone they can actually acquire who could help solidify that rotation. And like the truth of the matter is it just comes down to like Steph and those guys have to play at a star level, but like that's the more likely move.
How about, I mean, like if OG's the A level target, maybe like the C plus target is Kyle Kuzma, maybe he's a B minus, and then like maybe below that, like a PJ Washington. PJ Washington's not that good, but maybe in Golden State, like the system works.
He's better
for him.
than JaMychal Green.
Yeah, exactly. Like he's a marginal upgrade and he's young. So maybe if the Warriors could bet on that upside, Kuzma's another interesting target. If you'd be willing to give up a future pick for him with a young player, or maybe, the Wizards, like we're talking about, what's value for James Wiseman. All it takes is one team to say, hey, we're going to take a bet on a guy who was a top high school prospect, top college prospect, top draft pick, and it just hasn't worked out for him. Maybe Washington's that team that just says screw it, and they could trade Kuzma for Wiseman and Moody, something like that. It just about works out salary wise. So I don't know. I maybe they prefer that to a future pick if you're Washington.
Those are interesting because that tells me, like, are the Warriors going to spend more to re-sign? Right? It's like it's almost like a salary.
They're trying to go the other way.
Yeah, they're like trying to get, like, if it doesn't happen at the deadline, it feels like it's like they're going to move off of Wiseman just because, damn, man, you just can't pay him versus paying a Draymond. And so that I think is possible too. Same with Pirtle, like, as another guy where it's like it's good for the Warriors, and then you just might not see him next season. And then all of a sudden that number 2 pick turns into absolutely nothing, which might end up being the case anyway, but the Warriors are just in that financial situation where it's going to happen.
You keep mentioning wings, so I just want to ask you this. You think, if you had a choice between kind of a big wing, who the Warriors probably going to play at like 4-5 anyway, or adding like a Jakob Poeltl, traditional, like he easily fits Steve Kerr's offense. You'd rather go with like taking a gamble on like the PJ Washington type?
Yeah, over PJ Washington, I'd rather Poeltl.
Okay.
But over Kuzma, OG, I'd rather the wings. But like Pirtle's a good player. Like he'd be a great fit to your point. If the Warriors were able to acquire him from San Antonio, give you a little beef against a Jokic. But that's the thing. Like nobody's stopping Jokic. You're still going to have to send 2 to him or not. Like, yeah, like he's going to kill you if you send 2. He's going to kill you if you only send 1. So it's going to be tough no matter what in a series against Denver, regardless of a Pirtle or not.
The Denver series is the fascinating one because, to your point, they're a bottom 10 defense, and they're going to be the worst defense of contenders in the NBA. I think by far. Sam and I were talking on the last show. Just their best 3 players are awful defensively. So it's I'm not
sure.
sure.
Just the best of those 3 guys defensively, and like he could only move as fast as he can move.
He can only for how good he is. That's going to be a fascinating, and those 2 might be the best teams. They might end up playing each other in the second round. Actually, the way things are going to be set up in the West, but it feels like a Pirtle is someone to get them through the regular season. Like he's not a guy I don't think he's a guy that they end up relying on in the postseason. The Warriors have done this so much with Andrew Bogut, with Zaza, and Pirtle's better than a Zaza. But I just think when the chips are down, it's just going to be, well, Kevon's going to play his minutes, and then after that, it's going to be all Draymond at the 5. But right now, you see the way that Draymond's moving. He's tired and he's hurt. Same with Looney. Those guys might not be able to make it 42 more games. So that's where I think the Pirtle stuff is interesting. But if you're talking about wings, that's probably more important when it comes to the postseason. For the Warriors,
you're right, though. You're right, though. Like the wings might be more important in the postseason, but to actually have a chance in the postseason, you might need the center. So like maybe for Golden State, it actually could be, in the entirety of the season, starting from today until potentially June, the center is more important. So Looney and Draymond aren't worn out by that point when they're having to play heavier minutes as a small 5 in the case of Draymond. So, and plus with Pirtle, like if you were to get him, he would have value in any of those battles. Like if Memphis has a game where Steven Adams is just crushing,
sure,
right? Like that's where Pirtle is a weapon for you to throw out there and counter that instead of having to rely solely on Draymond and Looney, which was the thought process behind Wiseman. Adding
Correct.
a big with this growing league with, an increasing amount of great bigs, we add one of those too. That's what Golden State is thinking. Like It's just unfortunate he is not a good basketball player at all.
And hurt again. Like he was actually. Now I know you're not watching every Warriors game, but when he came back from the G League in his 8-10 minute stints, like he was getting better, and then boom, ankle, and we don't know where.
But that's also kind of the point. It's like he looked good for 8 minutes when Steve Kerr put him in a 3-minute block and protected him. So it's like, I mean, I'll take it because it's an improvement over the other. The part where he looks awful in it, but it's a way to go. I think to your guys' point though, it's like, we can talk about how it's like if they play a playoff series today, I'm still feeling comfortable with, Steph kind of spreading out Jokic and just kind of live with it, right? But they got to get there. They're currently in the play-in right now. They've messed around half the season, and it's one of those things where it's like, you're an ankle tweak away from having to go like playoff mode from like the All-Star break on.
Clay's hurt now, right?
Exactly.
Like Clay
and that shouldn't be serious, but it's like knee soreness is because he was playing 40 minutes a game last week, and we're only halfway through the season. So I don't see how they don't do something because they just don't have the depth to get to the finish line.
So does this, like everything we're saying is Denver the West favorite right now, like pretty clearly considering all the health concerns with Golden State, inexperience with some other teams? Are they like on their own tier at the moment?
Let me spin this because you've heard, and I wanted to bring this up immediately. You called the Clippers phonies, and Sam and I agree. But dive into that before you get out of here. I know we got to get you out of here, but dive into that. Like, I know it's injuries and these guys don't play and they don't know how to play together, all that stuff. Do you have a different sense of why they are kind of fraudulent?
I mean, it's exactly that. Like, how can you trust this team at all? There's no way you can trust them with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George sitting out after playing a combined 32 minutes on a Thursday and an embarrassing loss, and they sit out the next night. I just don't think this team can be trusted. I don't think they have the pieces. I think their depth is overrated. I think the Clippers are not even on the same level as some of these other teams.
Roster.
Oh, for sure. A great 2019 round. Like, that's what they were. But right now, they're not on the same level as any of these other teams in the West.
Wow, finally. I listened to a lot of shows, and a lot of people were gassing up the Clippers before the season.
It's just a lot of like faith in Kawhi because last time you saw him in the playoffs, well, not just actually last time you saw him in the playoffs, he looked like they were going to go to the finals till his knee gave out.
And I still don't think he looks like, even though his numbers have been way better the last 2 weeks or so, I still don't think he has the same burst and explosiveness. Like he's making it work. But I just watch him and I still feel like I can't trust him on the same level I did before when, like you said, he was an absolute unstoppable force in the postseason.
Yeah, he doesn't look as good. And like I'm sure they'll tell you they're bringing him along slowly so he peaks in the playoffs and maybe. But like it's just every like third game they're getting blown out by 40 type of thing. They're untrustworthy. I'm with you there. KOC, we appreciate you hopping on. Have a great one,
Thank
sir.
you, guys.
Thanks, brother.
Important announcement from our friend, Bay Area Sports Podcasting Network. Went to Pacific Catch on New Year's Eve with the fam. Delicious meal. Ooh, you guys should all go to Pacific Catch. Best in the Bay. Is there a better restaurant in all 7 Bay Area counties? Like, if you think about it,
not a one.
There's not a lot of restaurants that have multiple locations around the Bay Area, much less delicious locations around the Bay Area. You got the city, you got Alameda County, you got Contra Costa, you got Peninsula, you got Marin, just taken care of. Best.
Go ahead.
You know it was not the best though, Andy.
Oh, brother.
The Orlando Magic game.
We shot this up off the top, and dude, I've erased it from my memory. It's one of those where it's not even mid-January, and dog days are here. That's what it feels like. That game was dog days are here. Warriors didn't want to be there. The only people that wanted to be there were Paolo Banchero, Franz Wagner, Cole Anthony. So the only guys that wanted to be there. Yeah. Maybe
Pretty
Andre
much.
Iguodala, maybe, you know what I mean? But just a rough 2-game stretch, right? Just a rough 2-game stretch for the Warriors.
Yeah, and it's like when you saw Clay get that late scratch, it just felt like they were probably going to move into some sort of malaise, but just a disgusting game. hopefully Steph plays on Tuesday against Phoenix. I feel like that'll be the shot in the arm they need. But if not, Bob said it on Friday. They think he'll be back in lineup by Friday against San Antonio. So even if Steph doesn't play against Phoenix within a game, he should be back, which is needed because Jordan Poole struggled. All in all, despite this Orlando disgusting game, hard to not say 5-2 at home without Steph is a win. It always looks worse than it is. They start 5-0 and you get greedy in your mind. You think they're going to go 7-0. If I told you before the homestand with no Steph, they'd go 5-2, you'd be like, I take it.
They won some games they probably shouldn't have won normally, right? They beat Memphis, which was kind of like, looking back, you're like, how the hell did they beat Memphis? And then they kind of got tired throughout the way, and they beat the Hawks in that game. They probably shouldn't have beat the Hawks either. So things balance out, and then things balance out in life. Things balance out in the NBA. I think for the Warriors, that game looked like, the last two games looked like, yeah, we don't have Steph. And it's going to catch up to us. And there's only so much that playing at home is going to help. And that's what it felt like. So it wasn't like so much the Warriors lost those games. It's just they catch up to you. They catch up to you when you don't have your best player. And frankly, they didn't have their second, like, most consistent player with Wiggins. He was there last night. He was back, but he's been gone for so long that he didn't look normal.
Yeah, he looked rusty.
Fine.
He looked exactly like a dude who had not played in a month. I mean, he was on some sort of minutes limit. It just didn't look like the Wiggins we saw right beforehand. And I feel like the two biggest stories for him is like Anthony, they got up 58 threes, man. That tells me one thing. They weren't even trying to run offense. They were just chucking. You know what I'm saying? Like they take a lot of threes, but that one, it was just like, I mean, Anthony Lamb got 14 of them up. You know what I'm saying? Like at a certain point, it's just like, you're not even flush it down the toilet type of thing. Right.
You talk about, there's always two things the last couple of years we talked about, like, what do they need out of the two things, right? Do they need the guy that can create plays? Do they need the guy that can shoot, especially on the wings? And I've always kind of said, like, they can just get a guy that can shoot and play defense. They'll be fine. I think last night was kind of that perfect thing is they don't have a guy that can create, especially when Jordan Poole is playing that bad. Because that's the guy that you need to be able to do some version of Steph so that can get to the hole and distribute and kind of just make the defense crater a little bit. And the Orlando Magic in the second half just figured out, like, dude, all you guys are going to do is just going to stand out in the corners of the wings and just shoot threes. Yeah, we're just going to let you. And Jordan Poole just kind of, we'll get to him. But he just kind of gave up. Like, he kind of just said, forget it. I'm not going to play this game. And the Warriors ended up shooting 58 times. It wasn't even offense. It was just swing, shoot a three. So the ball.
Yeah, it was lazy. It's shorthanded team running into a more physical team. Just gave up a little bit. I mean, it was terrible. I got Jordan Poole's numbers in front of you right now. This homestand, I mean, the 3-point shooting is noticeable. Only 26% in the 6 games, and the turnovers are really the big thing. 5 a game. He is scoring the ball. He's taking a ton of shots. They need him to. My take on it is, all his flaws aside, I think he's just worn down. Like, that is a heavy load. That's the type of load guys like Steph Curry carry. And there's a reason. Steph's one of the best of all time and top 5 player every season. And just, very few guys can carry that load without getting worn down, is my point.
And even Steph does.
Sure.
And I think it's getting to him a little bit, the turnovers for Poole. I think it's getting to him. You can see the aggressiveness wane the last couple of games. I think it's getting to a point where, I mean, it's not just us that's telling him to slow down or think. You can see the coaching staff is telling him, because why else is he out there just kind of, we see Jordan Poole sometimes in the first couple of seasons where he just kind of slows down and stops playing aggressively because Steve Kerr's telling him, like, hey, stop doing dumb shit. It's what it looks like right now. And he'll be back. I think the hot stretch is going to be crazy, right? Because he's shooting 30% from 3 right now. The hot stretch is going to be completely incredible when Steph comes back. When Steph comes back and Wiggins is ready and Clay's back, it feels like the Warriors are setting up that Spurs game. They are setting up that Spurs game to be the game where everyone's back. That's what it feels like to me. I somehow doubt that Clay's playing on Monday or Tuesday, whenever they play this on And then I assume that they're all going to be back for that road trip. So it's going to make Poole's life a little bit easier because, I didn't even thought about that, man. Like, he is probably worn down, and the turnovers are getting to him. He just looks like a dude that just probably needs a couple days. Same with Draymond. Same with Looney. That they're getting guys back. It's about time.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like it's probably time to get to the voicemails, my man. I think it's time. Most of you guys called in last night after the game. Let's get to it.
Boys, how are we? Gave a few hours to simmer down. It's at midnight. Want to think about what I was going to say. Get a little bit fucking annoyed about the moving the goalposts and, victory laps over, winning 5 in a row. Then all of a sudden, we've got no fumes the last 2 days. Sorry, Sammy, you went to that fucking Detroit game, but shit happens. It's pretty clear now that I was debating this one with playback with the boys, but we're probably going to have to need more than one move, to save this roster, I think. Like, to be fair to him about a title. Like, Looney's on fumes. Draymond, I'm really concerned about Draymond now. He looks like he's fucking just absolutely pushing the limit. And now we're trying to beat Magic in January with Draymond playing massive minutes. Surely now it's time to go, cool. Now with Clay getting hurt with knee soreness and all this shit, surely it's time now to go, cool. Some hard decisions need to be made. Need to have a big chat about it. We need to actually be rational about what we're doing. Like Jordan Belfort said in Wolf of Wall Street, you don't like what you're doing with your life, pick up the fucking phone and do something about it. I don't want to hear any more talking about, we've got a good enough squad. No, we don't. We need 1 or 2 more players. We need to be smart. Some feelings might need to get hurt, but I think it needs to happen now because I'm really fucking concerned about our front court depth. What do you guys think? Cheers.
Luke always brings it. By the way, Luke's been on playback every week or every game. You guys should check that out. It's been pretty fun. Yeah. What do you think? You think we need multiple players?
No. I think I think it's a matter of just them falling apart. Now, if they lose to the Suns 5-3 is tough after going 5-0. Like 6-2, you're still pretty happy with what you've got. But at this point, I do think they've got a little bit of runway to the trade deadline. I think you see what you get with Steph back and Wiggins fully in rhythm. I think because guys like Kuminga were playing well. Dante is playing well, right? Like those guys were going to be your 7, 8, and the 9th guys. So I think that was going to be a good enough, deep enough team. And then it falls apart for the last couple games because you're still so shorthanded.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, Luke did nail it. They need a front court player. We know this. Big wing, one or the other. I think look, if they get 2 good players who fit, that's better than one. But I feel like they only need one because they have enough going on. We'll see how it plays out. Like so far, the trade deadline's nothing's really happened. But, we are a month away. Things can change. Let's get to the next one.
Going 0-6 to the Pacers, Detroit Pistons, and the freaking Magic is cause for sending this team to the sun. But anyway, I'm pretty tired of the fan base just trying to do victory laps because we have Draymond Green over the past few games playing 36 hard minutes on a bad back, Klay Thompson playing 40 minutes, and it caused him to have knee soreness to miss out on the Magic game. We have Looney playing 25 minutes a game, and now he's exhausted. We have Poole, although he's young, but he's playing 36 minutes a game the past few games, and now he's sore. Dante hyperextended his knee during the homestand and is playing 36 minutes a night. And the only positives I see right now is Clay is finally making his layups. Thank God for that, man. But anyway, can the fan base just wait until the Warriors are 10 games above 500 before we start taking victory laps? Trades are needed. There's no need to panic because they objectively faced their season and played about as good as they could without their 2 best players. However, this is not the time to say, because we won a few games against bad teams in crunch time, it's time to say, oh, victory lapping, and there's no need to worry. This team has issues. The vets are tired, and we need to get serious soon. And they need to heal. And the only way to do that is to probably get traded so that Loon and Draymond doesn't die out there.
Strong call. I mean, nothing you said's wrong about like the concern of wearing guys into the ground. What do you think of the victory lap phenomenon online?
Yeah, I would take. Dude, just let fans be fans, man. There's nothing wrong with panic. Panicking is great. Panicking is great for me and you. It's good for downloads. It's good for the listeners. Panicking means passion. It means that fans give a shit. The last thing that the Warriors, if I were Joe Lacob, the last thing I would do is I want fans that never panic. I just have fans that don't care. Like, fans that care are going to panic when you don't play well because that's what fans do. That's what humans do. You see that most in football because it's a week-to-week game. It's just one loss. Everyone's like, or me included, it's like everything's going to hell, and then one win, and then everything's amazing. It's pretty cool for the Warriors that fans do that from game to game. So that's my only thing, man. I think if you're in media, you should love that fans go crazy. You should love that because people care about the team, which means that people are probably going to care about what you have to say, which is good for Sam and I.
That's true. That's true.
I think media don't get that sometimes. Yeah, I think media don't get that.
There's a lot of I have a take because social media is so visible. Certain people feel the need to like play, like air traffic control and gatekeep all this stuff. And it's like, you don't need to do that, bro. Just let people be. It's not a big deal. Like you said, who you don't want to be is the San Francisco Giants, where their fan base, or the Oakland A's, even worse, wearing A's hat right now. I'll get excited when they get some good young players again, but I don't care. Not until the ownership sells, because I'm apathetic towards them. You don't want apathy. You want people who care. All right, let's get to the next one.
Goddamn, Brody, Draymond about to break his knees. You got to get some rest. Maybe sign, I don't know, any big guys left. Maybe Julius Randle on the trade block, though.
Oh.
Goddamn, Brody, Draymond about to.
I'm gonna put this. I'm gonna end this right now. No to Julius Randle. No. But they do need to get Draymond and Looney a functional backup, because those dudes gonna be very tired.
I'm not making through, and you know this because we talked about Julius Randle as a trade target like 2-3 years ago when the Warriors were asking around. I would quit. I would think about quitting as a Warriors fan.
Stop.
31 years if Julius Randle is on I mean, come on. I know he's having a good season, but come on. That's not the type of big. So the James Wiseman stuff is interesting because I don't think he realizes that's not the type of big the Warriors need, right? Like what he wants to be is he wants to be Julius Randle. He wants to be a hub on offense. He wants to never give a shit about defense. Let someone else, Mitchell Robinson, do the dirty work, and let me get my 25 and 12. That's what every big's mindset is, really, and that's why the Warriors have to remap everything in Wiseman's head to make him realize that, what, screening matters, rebounding matters, getting to the right spot on defense matters. All those matter. You know what doesn't matter? You being able to shoot a dribble, fade away 12-footer. That doesn't matter if you want to win basketball games. So
the skyhook does not matter, buddy. It didn't matter back in the day. It doesn't matter now.
Oh boy.
Let's keep going.
Andy is right. Jordan is unserious. I think that he's afraid to look at himself in the mirror after being paid that much money, so young, the franchise betting on him. I think that it's time for Jordan Poole's spiritual side. I think he needs to look in the mirror and realize that he's the fucking man. And through, it's not an act. He's a winner. Let's go. Jordan, spend some time with your cats. Get spiritual.
Oh, boy.
You're with Steph.
Oh.
Great call.
I think Jordan, we hit on Jordan Poole, but it's like, I think he's getting worn down. He's not ready to play this role too much. Next one.
Sam's less frustrated with Poole than I am.
I mean, I'm frustrated. Just like
you've always liked him more. You've always liked that. You know the style that I hate. So you've always liked or value the shot creation that he brings because nobody else can bring it. Even so much as Clay is amazing. It's just, they always need someone like that, right? And I think some of these frustrations come with it. And when it's bad, it's bad, dude. When it's bad, it's bad. That's what it is.
Punch Jordan Poole again until he gets it right. Bullying will work.
God.
Bullying works. Oh.
Draymond 0-2, by the way, since he came back with his podcast. Speaking of people punching people and working or not working, so
that is a great segue to our next voicemail.
No. Hey, this is Matt, first time caller. What are you most excited about? The return of Draymond Green's podcast or Andre Iguodala? Take care.
We didn't talk about Andre. I'm going to take a guess. You're more excited Andre's back than the Draymond Green show's back.
Correct.
That's two of us.
Correct.
Although, I don't get mad about the pod, but it's good to see Andre. He looked like he hadn't played. What's your realistic expectation for what he can do for this team?
I try to think of comparisons with him, but 10 minutes. Can he make life? Because his job is essentially to make life easier for Kuminga and Jordan Poole, right? Mm-hmm. And maybe Wiseman when he gets healthy. So how much easier can he make life better for those guys? What it is can he keep someone like Wiseman on the floor? Can he make life easier for Jordan Poole so he doesn't turn the ball over? I think that would be my realistic expectations. Everything else is kind of crazy with him. He does look a little cooked, but it's how it is, right? Can I say one thing about the Draymond podcast? It's pretty boring.
Absolutely. It's absolutely incredible, dude.
I don't know, man. I think it's not really his fault because it's going out to hundreds of thousands of people, I'm sure, or thousands of people at the very least. And he can't really say the stuff that he wants to say, but I think it's boring. I listened to half of it and I was like, I don't know. Like, this isn't Draymond. Like, we know. Like, Draymond. Draymond's different when he's actually on the court and he gets to talk candidly, and you can't do that on podcasts, right? So I don't think it's his fault, but it is boring. For those that are listening.
You know what else is absolutely incredible? Pacific Catch.
What the?
I think my expectation for Andre is if he can be the stabilizing force the minutes Draymond's off the court. So Draymond plays about 33 minutes a game. If Andre can get close to 15 minutes a game of just being that point forward, getting everyone in the right spot, hitting an occasional BS3, and just kind of being the adult on the floor, I would consider that a huge win. I don't know if that's possible, to be honest with you. Just because of his age and, health and all those things. But, that's what I would want to see from him.
Welcome back, Andre. You know me. Love me some Iguodala.
That's true. All right, guys. Appreciate it, everyone.